Welcome, friends, to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We are so happy you are with us. It's the start of a new work week, and we hope your day is starting off smoothly and you feel blessed. So we're going to dive right into today's topic because social media has just been ablaze. Everybody's weighing in and sharing their takes on this interesting subject. I hope it doesn't get too heated because we all feel very attached to our pets and our animals. As you can tell when you went to take2show.com or Facebook, I actually posted a picture of our dog, Gracie, our Maltese. And so as you can tell, this is very near and dear to me, this subject, but I think it's vitally important that we really hear and understand what the church's wonderful teaching is on animals and pets and how we are to look at our wonderful, joyous pets that we have around us, and also to keep priorities straight for us as Catholic Christians. So in just a little bit, I'm going to introduce who we feel is an expert on this subject and is going to help us. But before I do, I want to ask that if you could call in. The topic for today is, why is it that people sometimes love their pets more than humans? And we've seen this sometimes. I mean, you go back to Leona Helmsley in 2007 when it was all over the news when she passed away, and she reportedly left $12 million to her Maltese dog. Now, after that, the courts ruled that was way too much in excess and left $2 million to her Maltese dog. And the dog's name was Trouble. By the way, if Trouble did pass away in 2011. And definitely died in luxury with $2 million. So we've heard of stories like this where humans have really, kind of turned away from family members and really catered to pets. So we really want to hear your take on this subject. If you are a pet owner, if you have a personal story you'd like to share, or if you know of somebody that has really become maybe overly unhealthy, in an unhealthy way attached to a pet, would you call in and share your take? We want to learn from you this morning at 1-800-585-9396. Now, keep in mind, when you call in, we've had a lot of listeners say, hey, I didn't want to call in because I didn't want to miss any of the show. Well, this is the great news. When you call in and you speak to Matt, our call screener, who's wonderful, you'll be placed on hold. And while you're waiting to get on the air, you're going to get to listen to the show live. So you're not going to miss anything. So I encourage you to call in and share your take at 1-800-585-9396. Okay, I'm going to bring our expert on. He's right at the EWTN campus, and his name is Brother Tarcisius. Brother, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank
Hi,
you for having me.
For being with us. And you're part of the Franciscan Missionaries of the Eternal Word, correct?
That's right, I am.
And you work right at the campus of EWTN.
I do, yes. Actually, right now I am stationed in Maryland because I'm finishing a degree on philosophy, but during the breaks I come back and do all type of different assignments.
Okay, very good. Now, brother, can you give us a quick kind of an education on what's the difference between a brother and a father, and just so all of our listeners, we all understand why I'm calling you brother?
Oh, yes, that would be very nice. Well, basically, all of us friars had the same call to profess the three evangelical counsels of poverty, chastity, and obedience. And this is not just only for us Franciscans, but Dominicans, Carmelites, and the different religious orders of the church. However, in the male orders, one can have the option to either remain as a brother or continue and be ordained and eventually to administer the sacrament. So the basic difference, I will say, between friars who are ordained and those who are not is that those who are ordained, mainly the priest, they are able to administer the sacraments to the people of God, whether it be Mass, confession, baptism, marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main difference. But all of us work for the same goal, which is the salvation of souls.
Fascinating. Thank you for that, brother. And we're so glad you joined us this morning. Brother, if you were listening earlier, I know you probably did when I did the intro, we were sharing how social media has just been a blaze of people weighing in on their feelings about pets versus people. And we also posted, well, Jeff he did such a great job posting very, very quickly on take2show.com the Catechism of the Catholic Church, paragraphs 2415 through 2418 on the integrity of creation.
Right.
So I encourage all our listeners to go and read that, because that's right from the Catechism. You share with us, I mean, you can internet search it, all day long, and you'll hear all these different feelings about it. What is the church's, teaching on it? Or do we have a teaching? Is there just an understanding, or what is it?
Well, I guess we had to look at creation as a whole. The church haven't issued so far any document that speak about the relationship between pets and human beings. But I don't think that that's necessary. When we look at creation as a whole, we had to have a couple principles in mind. First, everything that God has created is good. And we know that through Revelation, through the book of Genesis. We probably heard the account more than once, on which we hear that after God had created everything, he said that it was not just only good, but very good. Therefore, everything in creation is good. So we can conclude that animals are good. There's nothing wrong with animals. So that's the first principle that we want to make sure is clear for everybody who is listening to the show. The church is not against pets, whether cats or dogs or whatever your pet might be. However, we're able to look in consistency with the whole creation and see in the degree of creation where do animals stand at. So very quickly, as we look at creation, we see rocks, animals, human beings, and angels. And of course, God, who is the creator of all, who doesn't decrease or increase by creating, but overflows from his nature. So we believe that human beings, in comparison with animals, are composed of matter and form. In plain words, body and soul. When we die, our soul is eternal. And we said Sunday on the creed, remember, we said, I believe in God the Father Almighty, and then we move on to say, and in the resurrection of the dead, and life everlasting. I'm sure you're familiar with this, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
So therefore, animals, after they pass, since they are matter, they cease to exist. Therefore, we can see already in the order of creation that animals are lower than human beings. And so the importance we ought to pay to animals is different than the importance that we ought to pay to human beings. And sometimes that's the problem. We spend more time and money, as you mentioned before, on animals than we should on human beings. And I think that that's basically those are the principles that we had to keep in mind. And yet people who are listening to us, and rightly so, they can tell us, brother, you and the church might be right. However, I can see by living with my dog or my cat that they can reason. And we say, why? Well, we can tell that, they're coming. They know when we are coming to home. They know very well that if they misbehave, they get punished. If they behave well, they get a little. And so we can see that animals also can reason. Well, it is true. We can see that. I mean, you don't have to be an animal lover to see that dogs are smart, so are cats. However, this is the main difference that we had to keep in. We human beings not just only can reason, but are able to come to conclusions making different concepts of things, which animals cannot. Therefore, if you look at the history of humanity, you see how man has improved his way of life. For instance, now you and I are able to preach the gospel through the radio because somebody came out with this idea. Now, you look at the history of animals, they have been stable throughout the whole history. Not able to conceptualize and come to different conclusions like we human beings are.
Right. Brother Tarcisius, would you stay with us? We're going to get ready for a quick break, and when we come back, you've said some fascinating things, and we really want to get into that a little deeper, and also maybe take some phone calls. So if you would stay with us, brother, we would absolutely feel so blessed to have you as our expert on this, and to help us really process through what it means to have a pet and what our priorities are. So if dear listeners, please stay with us. We're going to take a quick break, but if you want to jump in, the phone lines are filling up rather quickly, so we're going to ask you to start calling now at 1-800-585-9396. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We're talking about pets versus people.
Gratitude saves us from an unhealthy negativity. That's why people in Alcoholics Anonymous have to count their gratefuls every day. It safeguards relationships because it lets people know that we don't take them for granted. Gratitude protects us from pride because it reminds us that we aren't the ultimate source of all our blessings. And not only is gratitude a key to actually enjoying our blessings, it makes us more successful. See, people like to bless, promote, and support a humble and grateful person. It's just more enjoyable than blessing someone who... Thankfully, it's not too difficult to unleash the power of gratitude in your life. All it takes is saying two simple words as often as possible. Thank you. Thank your spouse for loving you. Thank your parents for dinner. Thank your boss for your job. Thank your teacher for his or her work. Above all, thank God for everything. In the words of Solanus Casey, it's heaven begun for the grateful on earth. Thank you for listening. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com.
For 2,000 years, we've helped the poor and comforted the sick. We've educated generations of children, developed the scientific method and college system. We support marriage and human life. Guided by the Holy Spirit, we compiled the Bible. We are the Catholic Church, with over 1 billion in our family, sharing in the fullness of Christian faith in the church started by Jesus. If you've been away, comehome.org today. Welcome home.
Okay, so that was just a quick break. We're back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network, and we're joined by a wonderful guest, Brother Tarcisius, and he's with us to explain to us and to share with us the Church's teaching on pets and how we are to treat our pets in our home. And Brother, will you stay with us? We're going to take our first call. The phone lines are really filling up fast. If you want to jump in, 1-800-859396. And we're going to go to Susie. Susie listening on Sirius XM 130 in Indiana. Hi, Susie.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Can you share your take on pets with us?
Yeah, my husband's been a veterinarian after he had a small career as a high school teacher. And we have a small mixed animal practice in our backyard, raised 4 kids. And veterinary medicine is, I think, but it's also changing. And when I heard your topic, I thought, I want to make sure everybody knows that not all veterinarians are involved in making sure that an animal is your family. Because that seems to ethically skew that, there's money if you make people feel guilty about not cleaning their dog's teeth. And it's really, I don't know if you know that veterinarians take an oath to alleviate suffering, betterment of kind of some environmental things that Pope Francis has talked about lately. That's in the veterinarian's oath. So my private story is that, this clinic has been hard to take care of children. You're constantly, sacrificing and giving your time and talents and take care of a lot of poor people, a lot of rich people too. We have a kind of interesting community. However, after we lost our son, with 3 other boys in a car wreck after spring break. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I was amazed after living, in this wonderful little community that the strength to go back to work at our veterinary hospital was accentuated by the power of that pet-animal connection. And the reason I say that is I think that it is a delicate balance that no animal take the place of a child. But you can't talk about loss and grief without knowing that this is about relationships. And so your relationship with your pet should never be more important than that your child. But to some people, a loss is a loss. And when you can reach out across an exam room table and say, maybe the client would tell us, I'm sorry to hear about Riley. And we can say then, how is your dog? And you see real humanity and real beauty. And it's not about making sure that dog stays alive forever. My husband always talks about the quality of the animal's life before it dies and the quality of the person's life. And we talk about, like the Franciscans I believe, have it right that, we steward to our, the ecological part of the animal kingdom, and don't take for granted that, these cows are always going to be here or, ruin our environment because we make makeup out of, horse, whatever,
Right.
So I feel like veterinary medicine is in there to keep the balance more than let it be skewed.
Right. And Susie, you make some very excellent points. And brother, I would love for you to comment and maybe share the Franciscan way as well.
Yes, I believe exactly what she said. I mean, definitely there is nothing wrong with people who take their pets to be taken care of, different vets throughout the whole world, and nobody's against that. I think that also, pastoral speaking, we had to understand too that there might be many people who are listening to us too that perhaps for some different reasons they find themselves alone at home, and it's very important to understand that these people unfortunately, and I will explain why I say unfortunately, start having a relationship with a pet which should be a human relationship. Many of us sometimes could be very selfish and do not dedicate enough time to spend with others. There is many people out there who are alone. And indeed, the only solution for them is to find a pet which will come to take the place of a human being. Now, this is not right. That's what I say, unfortunately. And so sometimes they start having a relationship, like the caller said, which this pet come to replace a human being. I mean, just take a look today at the different nursing homes that we have. There is many people who are alone there. And these people may have relatives that they forget about them. And yet, the only comfort for them might be a little cat, a little dog, or whatever that might be. So we had to understand too that, pastoral speaking, that there is some people out there who, unfortunately, again, they can only find some comfort or relationship only with animals. And that's part of where we had to come into the picture and say, well, as a whole, as a society, we had to change this. So, therefore, that's another thing that we had to keep in mind. Yet, animals are good, but they can never replace the love and affection that the human being can give.
Well said, brother. And I just want to thank Susie for calling in and sharing your wisdom. You definitely this is a great lead into the next caller who we're going to take. It's Virginia, and Virginia's driving through Alabama. And Virginia, before we turn your mic up, I just want to make sure you have a hands-free device and you're wearing your seatbelt. Virginia, are you there?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say that I've never been able to have children. I got into animal rescue several years ago and found that that was part of my calling. And I've found that all the animals that have come through my home they're very godlike. They're unconditional. They love people unconditionally. I can tell that they have emotion on their face. When I leave for work, they're kind of disappointed, like I guess a child would be. They tend to forget. I mean, they forgive. I just see them as. I mean, God created all of us and all of animals. I don't think that animals can replace humans, but I've found more comfort and love, unconditional love, from my animals than a lot of people. And it's so strange that you're talking about this as I'm driving, because I felt kind of lost with no children. But these are my children, and I think that Jesus took in all those that nobody else wanted. There's a lot of animals out there that nobody wants, and they are out there to. I mean, I believe they love. I really do. Maybe not like we do, but.
Well, Virginia, you also bring up some amazing points, because if you internet search why it is that people love their pets sometimes more than people, it's exactly that, for the unconditional love, the fact that pets are wanting and needing. We feel appreciated by pets because they're so excited to see us, and they forget very easily, and they're just very comforting. So I think you bring up some really valid points on as to why people do grow so attached. And brother, can you add and impart maybe an understanding of this so we can all get a better grasp of this topic?
Sure. I guess Virginia said it right. And animals, whether it be dog or any other kind, they're godlike, because they're being created in God's image too as well. And we see our founder, St. Francis himself, he wrote a beautiful canticle, the canticle of all creatures, not just only animals, but the sun, the sea, the moon. And we see certain peace that comes through them, which it refreshes us. And I personally have met many people and even nuns who have rescued animals like Virginia does, and they have a healthy, balanced understanding between the relationship that you can have with an animal and with a human being, like Virginia does. And there is nothing wrong, again, to help animals which are in the streets, or to have a pet or 2 or 4, but always, being mindful that, just like Virginia said, they love, but yet not like human beings do. And also in a balance, in a way that it won't be out of control, like the example you gave us at the very beginning of the show, where somebody left such an amount of money for a pet, which, I mean, you don't really have to know much about the teachings of the church to realize that this is not right.
Right. Exactly. Well, and brother, I just want to share with you, we're going to get ready for another break, but before we do, I had a few text messages come in, and they said, is Brother Tarcisius your new co-host? Because I don't hear Jerry Usher, but that's not true, because Jerry Usher is traveling for work, and he just came on, and we're so excited. Jerry, are you here now?
Hey, I'm here. Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, brother. Thanks for helping us out here a little bit today.
Not a problem at all.
Well, we're excited, Jerry. We're having a very, very vibrant discussion on pets versus people. I know, Jerry, you don't own a pet right now. I do. My Maltese Gracie, and we've got some really heartfelt calls coming in. If you want to jump in, I see just a couple open phone lines. Please share your take on this subject about being a pet owner or how you view pets at 1-800-585-9396. Jerry, I was going to say, did you get a chance to evangelize in the airports?
I had a little bit of a chance. Tried to be on my very best behavior, Debbie, all the way on my trip so far today. So hopefully God touched somebody through me in some way today. I hope so anyway.
Well, this is we're glad you're safe and everything is well, and we're glad you're here with us. Brother, just if you could stay with us just one more break, brother. I just wanted to touch on this topic about pets and their do they have a soul? I mean, if you internet search, you'll see some topics about Pope John Paul II making some statements about the breath of life. So if you'll stay with us, brother, and dear listeners, keep calling in at 1-800-585-9396. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kathy Sinnott, and I'm host of EWTN's Celtic Connections. From our studios in Ireland, we take a Catholic look at the big stories breaking in Great Britain, in Ireland, and across Europe. Celtic Connections is the only Catholic news show made in the UK or Ireland. So join me every Saturday and Sunday on Celtic Connections.
For dates and times in your area, log on to EWTN.com.
Whether you're at home, at work, in the car, you can follow what he teaches 24 hours each day. We're EWTN Radio.
And just to let you know, I'm a returning Catholic because of EWTN. Bless you guys and keep it up.
And you're invited to visit our website too. Just log on to www.ewtn.com. That's www.ewtn.com.
I don't have money to travel, but I can travel the world on EWTN, and I do. God bless each of you. Love traveling the world on EWTN.
If you have a comment about our programming, we'd love to hear from you too. Call 205-795-5773 or send us an email to radio@ewtn.com. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you.
Get an insider's look at the latest information from EWTN. Sign up for Wings, EWTN's weekly email newsletter. Get the latest information about special features and guests. Connect with EWTN on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Just go to EWTN.com and click on the Wings link to sign up. Don't miss of all that's happening at EWTN. Get your wings today.
It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Jerry is here. Thanks for being with us today on the program. Debbie Georgiani holding down the fort for the first part of the program. And calls that we're going to get to just a couple more minutes. Debbie, I know you wanted something that is really, I think it's an important conversation, something we need to clear up real fast, and that is the whole immortality of a pet. Do animals have souls? So I know you wanted to touch with Brother Tarcissus on that.
I do, brother. I wanted to ask you because there's certain internet searches. That Saint Pope John Paul II made the comment that pets have the breath of life, and so I'm interested in what was his explanation of that, and do they have souls? Are they? We understand they're not immortal souls. I get that, but what is the explanation of that?
Right. I guess we had to clarify that. Everything that we're about to say about the soul of animals and so human beings and then angels in relation to angels and God, all these have been already to a certain degree predetermined by the Greeks, people who didn't have divine revelation. And then the church came to believe in these thoughts to divine revelation. But very quickly we had to explain, yes, animals, plants, rocks, human beings, they have a soul. However, there is a different type of soul. Human beings are unique in that their soul is, as you well said, immortal. And the main difference why we can arrive to this conclusion is because, as I explained to you before, we human beings can reason, but not just only reason, we can arrive to concept and able to conceptualize things, which is the proof, and this is a logical proof, that we human beings, the souls are eternal, which plants, animals, and rocks, their soul, they have, for instance, animals, they have animal souls, so they are not eternal. After the animal passes away, which is composed, ceases there, and there is nothing else that lives, just like we human beings, which are composed of body and soul, matter and form. After we die, the soul goes to its eternal reward, and also we believe that at the end of the world, we are united with our body. Hence, the importance for us to take care of our bodies rightly.
Fascinating.
Is that clear?
Yeah, very clear.
good.
Very good. Brother, I just want to ask one last thing because this comes up frequently. Real quick, I'm so sorry. This was a very interesting topic to me because I am a pet owner. What about 2 Peter 3:13 where it talks about God saying there's going to be new heavens and new earth? I mean, God knows how much we loved our pets on earth. Is it possible that they could be?
I am so happy you brought that up because I wasn't sure if I should bring this up or not in the radio because I had spoken to one of our theologians here at EWTN about this issue about animals and the relationship with human beings, and again, the church haven't said anything official about this, but there is a theory there among many theologians on which they believe that, as I mentioned before, without changing the principles, a dog passes away, and then you become ashes. Well, in the new creation, in some capacity, these ashes will be part of the new creation. Now, all this is a theory. We don't know precisely into which capacity, but they believe that this matter, which will be decomposed and become into ashes, to a certain degree will be part of the new creation. So they believe that we can rightly say that animals, whether it be, a dog or a cat or a bird, in some capacity, they are part of the new creation, where God will make all things new. Now, however, this doesn't change the principles that we mentioned before, on which a human being is different from an animal. All right?
Right.
Always having those principles in mind, because otherwise then things get a little confused, and then we are in trouble.
Well, Brother Tarcisius, that was a beautiful way to end your time with us here on Take Two. And I just want to thank you so very much. That was so kind and pastoral of you to end like that. That gave me comfort. So, Brother, yes, want to thank you so much. I know you have a busy day. Thank you for joining us on Take Two. And I know that our listeners appreciate it. I know that Jerry and I just, we're talking on the surely appreciate your time you've spent with us. You've cleared up a lot of and put it into priority for us. So thank you for that, and God bless you for all your great work.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother, for being on with us. 1-800-585-9396. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about pets and people, and sometimes people really, really, really love their pets. And do we go too far with that? Or, we need to honor and respect them because they are God's creatures as well. So back to your calls. We have Dr. Tom, who is driving through Indiana. Dr. Tom, you know what that means. Debbie, go ahead.
Dr. Tom, do you have a hands-free and you got your seatbelt on?
Yes.
Okay.
I got my seatbelt on and I'm hands-free and I'm near Bloomington, Illinois at ease.
Praise God. Thanks for calling, Dr. Tom.
Hey, I just want to tell I'm in the greatest profession in the world. Being a veterinarian, there's nothing better. What other profession can you hug your patient and not get sued for it? So let's talk about the pets, and I'm giving it a thought. And I'm sorry, brother, hung up. Question I posed to a number of priests in writing as they'd help clarify this for me. It has to obviously do with the soul of the pet. And actually the purpose of the pet, because I have to deal with it a lot in my practices and with the times when the pets have got to be put to sleep. And people are dependent upon those pets being there in the afterlife. A lot of many of my clients are Protestants or agnostics, and if there's any afterlife, they want to make sure their pet is there. So what I've been able to surmise, I was raised Catholic, and so nuns always told us exactly what Brother is telling us, and it's that is, the pet's soul just disappears like a puff of smoke when the pet dies. But the nuns also said, when you go to heaven, everything you want will always be there. And there's a paradox. You can't have it both ways. So, and this is why I'm going to find possibly a heretic, which I really don't think I am in saying this. But my take on it is that the pet's soul may have never left heaven in the first place. So what we have here is maybe a very poor image or representation of the essence and of the pet itself that's always been in heaven. And the reason I say that, well, first of all, not to worship this pet as an angel or a god or a saint, but I say that because I look at the life of the pet and say, what can I learn from this? What am I supposed to learn from these animals? Well, first of all, I talk about unconditional love. And I think that's going to be more of a philosophical argument regarding what is love, what is affection. But they're unconditional in how they feel for us. So when you leave for work in the morning, you have a bad day, you come home, and who's there to greet you? Your pet is, dog or a cat, and it lifts up our spirits. They also live for the day. They don't think about yesterday. They don't worry about tomorrow. They're here for the moment. And their patience is remarkable. I've seen over the years times when animals have been left to their own and have gone to the verge of starvation or even starved to death, and they stand there patiently, taking life as it was given to them. And I think those are principles that we need to learn from these pets, and we can learn from the animals. The other thing, too, important to me is the concept of stewardship. You know, it's really important to take care of what's been given to us, and if we don't, then I think we fall short of the mark of what our role in this life is. So when clients come to me and their pets have bad-looking teeth or they have other problems going on, it's my responsibility to make that client aware of what's best for the pet. Now, they may not be able to afford it, I understand, but they need to at least know this is the level of care that you're looking for when you're caring for a pet anyway, when you have a pet in your household. And I do see a great deal of the displacement of love for pets from people. I really think they're here to love people. We are the hardest being to love because we're so darn irrational most of the time.
Well, Dr. Tom, let me jump in here, and I know Debbie has some thoughts she wants to share too. One of the things and I hosted Catholic Answers Live for about 10 years, and we used to do kids Q&A programs, and this was a perennial question all the time. Kids wanted to know, is my dog, is my cat, is my turtle, are my goldfish going to be with me in heaven? And the answer that was typically given is very, very close to what you said early in your call, and that is typically everything that we need for our happiness will be in heaven. And if God deems that if in order for us to be happy, the pet that we had in this life must be in heaven, then that's the way it's going to be. But really, God is the ultimate determiner of that. And I don't know. I mean, I would think that being in the beatific vision with God alone would be all that we need to be happy. But Debbie, I don't know if you've heard it put that way before, but that was typically what the apologists at Catholic Answers would say, and that is, whatever is necessary for our happiness, God will make sure that we have in heaven. But Debbie, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was going to share exactly, Jerry. My uncle, he was a priest, a diocesan priest, and he died several years ago. But I used to ask him this all the time because he always had dogs. His dog's name was Francesco, and he had lots of pets, loved pets. And I used to say to him all the time, we used to call him Uncle Civi. It's Father Sylvester Lavolsi, and I used to say, Uncle Civi, are our pets going to be in heaven? And he would say to me all the time, he would say, if you need to have that happiness in heaven, God will provide it. But he said, I can almost guarantee you're not going to need that when you get to heaven. You're not going to need that. But if you do need it, God will provide it. So exactly what you're just saying, Jerry, that's what my uncle used to tell all of us when we were growing up. And it brought great comfort because I would always think to myself, okay, if I need it, then God will allow me to have my pet. But if I don't, then our pets served a purpose here on earth. And so how beautiful is that? Either way, I was comforted. So, Dr. Tom, does that kind of add to what you're saying?
Yeah, it does. The shortcoming, though, I think in our current culture is that people don't really can wrap their heads around of not having their pets in, but try to simplify it. And I agree with exactly what you're saying, and it makes sense to me. But I do know that many times when I've got to put a pet to sleep, the owners, they're at a major loss. And right. It's a grand opportunity to evangelize them that, guys, you might see your pet in the future, and these are my thoughts on it. But the bottom line is, your pet's essence will be there, whether what you said, Jerry, if you want it or whatever the case may be. The reality of it is will we be there? And see, we have the choice of saying no and not making it to heaven, whereas the pet or whatever form you might want to take is and can be there. It doesn't have to deal with that issue. So I sort of throw it out there as a goal. And then the big thing for me is to really open the client's eyes during that moment of pain for all of us, that what is this life all about? I mean, is it about going to work every day and worrying about the new boat or the new car, or is there something bigger out there? And I think that's an opportunity in our profession that I hope we don't miss. And that's people open their eyes to the reality of life after death.
I loved what you said, Dr. Tom. You've got one of the greatest jobs anyone could possibly have, working with God's furry creatures, and I everything you said was right on. Our stewardship includes treating animals with dignity and respect, not as though they have human immortal souls, but not being mean to them either. And of course, pets can mean so much to so many people. I've had my own, and when I lost my last dog, I was distraught for a long time. So I can share the sentiment that we all have about our pets. So thanks, Tom. We appreciate that call very much. Time for our last short break today. Then we've got some other calls, many more to get to. Elizabeth, Rick, Rico, Carmel. We're going to get to as many of your calls as possible here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Tomorrow, our topic, the challenges and blessings of blended families. Maybe there's been a divorce, an annulment, a death, a widow, a widower, and a remarriage. What are some of the challenges and blessings of living in a family like that? We're going to talk about that tomorrow right here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
What's stopping you from becoming a Catholic?
Why can't women become priests?
I don't understand why I have to earn salvation.
How is it possible that God created everyone?
Why do I need to confess my sins to a priest?
Why is the Catholic Church so unwilling to
The Catholic Church is too rich.
Catholics worship Mary and are committed.
As far as I'm concerned, all religions are equal.
You are called to communion with Dr. David Anders. Today, 2 p.m. Eastern, on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
The EWTN Book of the Month for July is Behold Your Mother by Tim Staples. In this biblical and historical defense of the Marian doctrines, Tim Staples has assembled the most thorough and useful Marian apologetic you'll find anywhere. It's available through the EWTN Religious Catalog web store, EWTNRC.com. A day, 7 days a week, or call 1-800-854-63.
We're so blessed by your listenership to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Our thanks to Rich Jesse, our producer. Jeff Burson does the social media. Matt Gabensky is screening your calls, and all the other great help that we get and support from the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Moving along with your calls, pets versus people. Elizabeth is next, calling from Little Rock, Arkansas. Elizabeth, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Thank you. We had a family gathering this weekend, and the family member has 4 animals, 4 small ones. Several months ago, the 4th one was adopted from a rescue and has a terrible issue with aggression and biting and barking, and is completely unfriendly to the family when we come for a visit. This weekend, the dog was horrible. It bit me, and we also had a lot of barking to deal with. I wanted to leave, but I didn't leave. I was with my spouse, and I didn't want to go off and leave, so I stayed there. How do you deal with something like this? You have a family saying it's all about the dogs. It's not about the people.
Debbie, ladies first,
Wow.
if you have any thoughts.
Well, I do actually. I have a few friends similar to what you are sharing, Elizabeth, and first of all, dachshunds they tend to be a little aggressive anyway. We had one in our family, and they seem to be just a little, they nip a lot. So dachshunds can have, but we have some friends and family members who actually have elevated, I'd like to say, their dogs above the human wants and needs of people around them. The best thing that I could suggest, because this is what worked for us, is that we very gently expressed the fact of our how uncomfortable we felt around the situation, but never to, I never chose to criticize or heavily, kind of go at my friends or family members to try and get them to change their way of their thinking of their pets. But I will tell you that that's a common occurrence. I've heard that a lot, that people really have chosen their pets sometimes over human feelings. And that's unfortunate because think about it. You left that encounter with your family members, and you first of all, you were probably physically a little bit hurt from the dachshund, bite, and you were feeling wounded, in your heart, and your feelings were hurt, and that's not good, and that's not what Christ calls us to do. He calls us to build a community and to build up relationships, not divide. And if pets are going to do that, then gently, I think maybe praying for your family members that they can shift their thinking on that. Jerry, what's your take?
Well, yeah, I would agree with everything you said. I was at a gathering here about a year or so ago, and there was a dog. The hosts had a dog there, and I remember the dog actually bit one of the people at the party, and the owners just kind of said, "Oh, we'll get you a Band-Aid." Oh. And I thought, yeah, and do you want to put the dog, in a room somewhere?
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
There wasn't any thought to really, hey, the dog just did something that maybe offended one of my human guests, So again, it's a balance. We got to love our pets, and they if they're part of our household and people are coming into our home, then it's a judgment call. I think we've got to see if the pet is going to be able to handle himself or herself around guests and not do things like that, then okay. Otherwise, make other provisions. But I've got to, Elizabeth, thank you for your call too, by the way. Appreciate that. Got to share real quickly. The last time I was traveling for part of the show, Debbie, as you'll remember, we did our Father's Day show, and I was on the first half of the show in an airport. And a beautiful sight just walked right in front of me, a young dad with his little boy, and just walked and showing him these things. It was just a beautiful kind of a sign as we were Fathers and Father's Day. Well, today I had to join you in the second half of the show because I was traveling again, and some people got on the plane with the dog, and the dog had these clothes on and the ribbons around the dog ears and all this stuff, and I thought this is exactly what I'm talking about today. They had the dog
absolutely.
all dolled up, and so anyway, I just thought I would share that.
Yeah,
Just kind of interesting.
Yeah, probably dressed better than some people you've seen in airports too.
Yeah,
right? But I just want to say again, I agree. I can totally resonate with what Elizabeth is saying because I've always been as a small child, I was always a little bit of afraid of German Shepherds because we had a German Shepherd next door growing up, and it just always left that feeling inside of me. And I can remember certain homes I would go into, and I felt very uncomfortable being in the home, and because they had a big dog. And they wouldn't put it away in a room. And I've actually just, gently got up and said, hey, you know what? It's time for me to leave. And I left because I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm going to constantly feel threatened or in fear. But Elizabeth makes some great points. Thanks for calling, Elizabeth. We're going to move on to Rick in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hi, Rick. How are you? Thanks for waiting. You're on.
Yeah, hi. My call.
Sure.
I do not have a pet currently. I've had many pets over my lifetime, but instead what I have now is a female retriever certified service dog. And one thing I say is that, Mystic is going to be in heaven with me because Mystic is a reflection of God to me. D-O-G-G-O-D. Mystic's love and devotion to me, her help to me, her comfort in times when I'm feeling bad and maybe I'm in a lot of pain because I'm severely disabled and alone, and all the things she does for me. But then yet her way of deliberately teasing me and messing with my head, she is extremely smart. But I would not be alive without her. We had only been together 6 months when she saved my life with just 2 words. I have an alert device to get paramedics here, and all I have to do is say to her, Mystic, help, and she will go hit that big button and get the paramedics here, code 3.
Wow.
So she's a national hero to the organization that provided her to me. They did quite a cover feature story in their magazine about it at the time. It was 5 years ago, last February. But again, getting back to this thing, Mystic makes my independence possible. I could not live alone without her help, and that's God's gift to me.
Yeah, and Rick, we're getting close to ending the show here, so forgive me for barging in on your caller. You're making some great points, and Debbie, I just absolutely love stories like this. I mean, it makes me think of the TV show Lassie, which was, right. I think, a little bit overdone in terms of, Lassie's ability to understand language and run off and get help. Although, you hear stories, Debbie, so often of times when dogs almost take on human intelligence. I say almost.
Right.
And in this case, I'm sure this is an absolutely beautiful gift for Rick. And there's no question that God has and will continue to bless Rick through the service dog that he has. This is absolutely a beautiful story. Service
dogs are such a blessing from God. They're such gifts from God. I'm so glad that Rick, you are our last caller for ended it so beautifully of how they can be a blessing in our lives and also help us and save us at times in emergencies. So thank you, Rick, for making that call and making those statements. Also, social media, real quick, Jerry, I wanted to share, there's so many posts coming in on Take.com and on Facebook. Don't forget to like us because we want to get up to over 1,300 likes by the end of the week, and you can help us by sharing it with your friends. But so many were weighing in on saying how much their pets meant to them. Some were saying they don't really like the term pet parent. They offensive. Everybody is just sharing their takes on pets versus humans and how we view our pets. Boy, this was an exciting show, and I think we've learned a lot.
All right, well, yeah, my takeaway, I'm going to share what Rob writes on Take2Show.com. Our family was watching an animal rescue show. The rescuers arrived when the owner was out, and the emaciated, beaten, abused dog was under the front porch barking at the rescuers. As they were trying to out, the owner's vehicle pulled into the driveway, and the dog, between barking and growling at the rescuers, would wag its tail because the owner was home. And he says that was a teaching moment for his kids to say that it's an example of God's love for us. No matter how we treat our relationship with God, he still loves us. So, Debbie, it's a great time today, and thanks for holding down the fort early on. What's your takeaway?
Oh, my takeaway is I still love my pet Gracie. She's just beautiful, and she brings me great joy. And we are excited about tomorrow's show, Challenges and Blessings of Blended Families. So if you used to watch the Brady Bunch and you used to think it all looks like that, well, you might want to think again on this. Tune in tomorrow on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a beautiful, blessed day.